Welcome back to The Price of Business. I'm your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. We want to remind you that every Sunday at 11:30 Eastern Time, AM, The Price of Business TV show is on the Biz TV network, coast to coast. Over 30 million homes around the country. Make sure you tune in and check it out. Want more information? You can really watch it anywhere. It's real easy to do. You can learn more about that at priceofbusiness.com. But on the radio show here today, I'm going to be visiting with Reggie Gray. He's president of Houston Area Chambers, and we're doing a series of interviews on the kind of impact chambers have on local businesses. And I think they're extremely important. And I think in economies like we're in right now, kind of challenging economies like we're in right now, even more so. Reggie, welcome to the program.
Thank you. It's great to be here. I'm actually calling you live from San Salvador, El Salvador.
Well, you're now an official Price of Business International Man of Mystery, and so we're glad to have you call.
I'll take that title. Thank you.
Yeah, and so it's the Intercontinental Chamber of Commerce. Kind of give us the elevator speech for it.
We actually have been around for 30 years. We started out as a typical regional chamber, North Houston Greenspoint Chamber. However, the name was changed about 8 years ago due to our proximity of the Intercontinental Airport and also to our variety of members that actually have international business, such as Halliburton, Noble Energy, SEVA, GAC, et cetera. And as things started developing the past 3 years, we have grown now where we're in 13 countries, and we have agreements with several governments themselves, such as ProMexico in Mexico, Malta Enterprise in Malta. And in fact, the reason I'm here in San Salvador is today I'm signing an agreement with Siegfried Reyes, the president of ProESA, for our agreement with the country government of El Salvador.
Very good. What will that mean to Houston?
Well, what that does for Houston, and you may have seen some recent articles in the Chronicle and the Houston Business Journal, but we also expanded and revitalized and relaunched the Galleria Chamber. So we have on it, the Houston Business Journal is a board member, the Galleria Mall, people like the Houston Polo Club, we're the exclusive chamber partner, Gordon Kwan, NRG, et cetera. But what we do with this program then is we attract and we meet with very actively and aggressively foreign countries, foreign companies to connect them into Houston to drive business expansion into Houston. Then what it also does is it allows our members in Houston to be able to expand, not relocate, but expand or create joint ventures in these other markets, which helps to drive revenue to them, which strengthens the Houston economy.
How many members do you have altogether?
That one's always a tricky question for me because of the fact that we have international members, we have company members, and the way that we consider our members, I think some chambers count a company that might have multiple branches, and they count all the branches. Where if we did that, and the Galleria alone is a member, that's 400 stores and 400 members. But we try to do it by an entity. For example, Amity Bank's one of our members, and they might have 40 branches in Houston. Well, that's not 40 members to us; that's one. Right. And we have companies that are international, then like Grant Thornton and SEVA, GAC, and they have 300 offices around the globe. So if I did that, just within a couple of them, I could say I have 600 members. So it's real tough for me to draw, depending on how you want to compare it. I usually tell people that we have about 800 to 1,000 global members, but that equates to thousands of offices and thousands of members.
Yeah, very interesting. And you are very different from most of the chambers because of the way you transcend geography.
Yes, yeah, and the fact that we're very active. Some chambers might they try to have a global name, or they may try to have some programs and trade missions, but ours are very active and actually very productive in what we're trying to accomplish. I kind of have this joke, ours aren't handshakes and high fives. We don't charge our members to go on the trade missions. They just pay for their expenses. But by that, we select those companies that are very serious about the business development that they're going to do, and they're very capable of doing it. You really don't go on these trade missions to just do sightseeing and tours. It's very business-oriented, and they're all related to the governments themselves, their programs. They set up the credible meetings with other credible businesses. They're very productive. And then, of course, still back in Houston now, having multiple offices in North Houston and the Galleria, it enables us to also do the things that a typical community chamber does, mixers and luncheons and things like that. But for our members, we can grow you outside your community. As I tell people, if you have a website and have the ability to expand, you're a global company now. And we have the ability to take you globally, whereas others might, you're limited to their geographical proximity.
How many of these missions do you typically do a year?
I'm sorry, I didn't.
How many of these trade missions do you do a year, typically?
I go to Europe about once a quarter, and actively with the people in our partners in Central America, say like Mexico and down, we usually have some kind of business meeting going on about every 6 to 8 weeks. So, and then not only do we do them outbound, but we have even more coming inbound. For example, last month I met with 30 delegates from China. I have a group coming in from Southeast Asia, such as Singapore and India, first week in March. On the 29th, I have someone coming in from Russia. Next week, I have someone coming in from Spain. And Mexico is ongoing now because of our offices in Mexico City, Panama City, Malta, and as I stated now, 9 of the countries.
Yeah.
So
you're really a global chamber in some ways that benefits Houston. Kind of a global chamber that benefits Houston.
Yeah, and with Houston being a global city, we have over 90 foreign consulates. I believe we speak over 115 languages there. We're one of the top 5 cities now in foreign investment. It makes sense that you need to be a global chamber. If we were in some maybe smaller town, West Texas or something, probably wouldn't make sense. But it does for Houston, Texas, the world's largest medical center, the energy capital of the world. It makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
it makes a lot of sense. No question about it. And when you go to Europe, real quickly, a couple of places you typically go when you go to Europe.
Well, I just got back from there actually in the middle of January, and the actual cities that I hit on that particular trip, I was in Zurich because we had the World Economic Forum down in Davos, Switzerland, and then I traveled into Brussels briefly, on into Berlin, where I gave some interviews to Global Contact magazine. One of our strategic partners owns that financial magazine. And then I traveled on to Moscow, where I then met actually with our partners that are in our 6 Eurasia countries, which consist of Germany, but Russia, Kazakhstan, Ukraine, Belarus, and Poland.
Belarus, my goodness, they're still letting that happen there, huh? That place is run by a full-fledged totalitarian now.
Yeah, and if you notice some of the countries I've named off, we also have relationships in China, Italy, Dubai for the UAE, and in Malta. But we like to target the countries where they're developing countries, and maybe they're not as easy, there's not as much known about how to do business there. A lot of our great partners that are traditionally like France and maybe England and things like that.
Sure.
It's usually pretty.
Yeah, I've been to Belarus many times actually over the years, and so I happened to be there in the last free election they had, which I think is almost the only free election they ever had. Anyway, sad country actually. Belarus is an incredibly neat place. The people are so awesome. But, boy, it's sure sad to see what they've gone through. But, you know what? When groups like yours expose them to freedom, it gives them more opportunity to become free. It makes them harder to stay totalitarian. That's exactly what's happened with China over the decades. As it became less isolated, I tell you right now, you talk to any Chinese person, they'll tell you it's still a totalitarian state, but it's a lot freer than it was 20, 40 years ago. No question about it. Reggie, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for the time and the opportunity. I wish you continued success, and thank you for the partnership.
Well, we'll be glad to. I'd like to visit with you when you get back. When do you get back?
I'll be coming back in early Friday morning.
We'll grab a lunch sometime next week or in the next week or two. Good to talk to you, buddy.
Thank you, Kevin.
All right, Reggie Gray. He's president of the Houston Area Chambers, the Intercontinental Chamber of Commerce, and that is HoustonICC.org. HoustonICC.org. Part of our series we're doing about chambers in Houston, and I think they're very important, and you can tell why by this interview. More after this on The Price of Business.